everyone. For writing this week, we're going to switch gears a little bit and we're going to do a little bit of poetry. You might have heard there is a poetry night coming up virtually at Salmon Bay, and you have the opportunity, if you want to sign up. You can read a poem. It could be a poem that you've written yourself, or it could be from a poet you really like. In the classroom, you may have read different poets, Jack Prelutsky, Shel Silverstein. There are tons of wonderful poets out there. And I know some teachers have done or are doing different read-alouds with poetry. So you could choose a poem from another poet, but we wanted to make sure you have the opportunity to write your own poetry. So this week we are going to talk about a type of poetry called acrostic poems. Acrostic poems are really fun to write, and they're a really nice way to dip a toe into poetry if you haven't done much poetry writing before. Basically what you do is you start with a word. So for example, if I wanted to write a poem about cats, you might see through my paper that I have another poem about Salmon Bay coming, but if I wanted to write a poem about cats, I would start off with the word cats, and then I would go ahead and make a poem where the first letter in each line of the poem starts with the letters in cats. So I've written the word cats vertically on my paper, and then I have phrases that go along with it. I'm going to show you the cats poem in a minute, but I wanted to give you an idea of a poem that I wrote. You might know that there is a certain holiday coming up soon. Mother's Day is coming. You may have someone in your life that you want to write a Mother's Day poem for. So that was my inspiration. That was the poem that I wrote. So I made up a poem about my mom, and I wrote the word M-O-M, mom, down the side in kind of bigger letters to show those were the big letters of my acrostic poem. And then I tried to think about words or phrases that started with that. So for the first M, I said, makes the world's best carrot cake, outstanding at jigsaw puzzles, that O in outstanding for mom, and mom hugs are the best by Amy. Probably before I give this to my mom, I'm going to add some artwork to it. I might do a drawing down below. I could turn this into a card. I could do watercolor painting. You have to think about what you have available and what your mom might enjoy if you want to do this for your mom or a grandma, or it could be, just a poem you write for you. You don't have to do a poem about a family member, but you could. Okay, the cat's poem I found online. It didn't say who the poet was, but I know that at least in my class there are a lot of kids who love cats, and I thought that might be true in all the K1 classes, and I like this poem. So this is called Cats. It is not by me, it's by another poet, and they wrote the word cats vertically down their paper, and they have curled up in a small fluff ball, all snug and warm, thinking of mice and milk, slowly falling to sleep. I just really loved these phrases that they came up with. I felt like reading this poem about cats, I almost could make a movie in my mind about these cats and what they looked like and what they were doing. It really gave me a really clear image. So you could kind of challenge yourself to have a whole line of words that just starts with the first letter. And then I wanted to try out one poem together. I thought it could be fun to write a poem about Salmon Bay. And I want to just walk you through how I would do that as a poet if I thought, I'm not sure that writing a whole phrase, that feels like a lot to me. Maybe I want to just start off with each letter being the first letter in one word, all about that topic. So you might have noticed in the cats, each line is talking about cats. It's helping us make an image of cats. In the poem about my mom, each line is describing important things about my mom. right? So I forgot to mention that earlier, but when you're doing an acrostic poem, you don't want to just think of random words. You want to think of words that have to do with the meaning of the one word, or in this case, two words that you're talking about. So if I was going to write a poem about Salmon Bay, and I'm going to start with the S, think, what starts with the S? Might make the sound that S makes to help me think about it. Ooh, singing. I was just enjoying the Friday Sing video or slideshow, and singing is something that I think is really important at our school. So my first line could be singing. A, a. Ooh, what about all together? We're just talking about singing, but there's lots of things that we do as a community, whether it's a class community. All together feels like it fits well at Salmon Bay. Oh, can't talk about Salmon Bay without talking about learning. So my next line could be learning. So singing, all together, learning, music. We do music with Mark. That can be my next line. Oh. There's so many sounds that O can make. It could be ah, oh, ooh, ah. Ooh, outdoors. We go outdoors for some field trips. We spend lots of time outside on the playground. I think my O is going to be outdoors. And ooh, I have a good one. It's two words. We were kind of brainstorming one, but I'm going to do new friends. Because I know when we started in kindergarten, a lot of us didn't know each other, and people made some really special new friends. Okay, so we've got singing, all together, learning, music, outdoors, new friends, b. What's a word that starts with b that fits with Salmon Bay? Buddies. I always look forward to reading Buddies each week, and I know a lot of other kids do too. I could make Buddies my B word. And I'm feeling stumped on the A and the Y. I'm going to let you think about that. Maybe you want to write a poem about Salmon Bay. I kind of purposely left this blank. I wanted you to hear how I brainstormed, but maybe you have different words or phrases that you would put if you were making a poem about our school. You know, you might be thinking about things you're excited to do when we're all back together again, things that you've enjoyed thinking about while we're apart. So maybe you want to write a poem about school. Maybe you want to write a poem that has something to do with your personal project, the research you're doing. There's so many different topics you could do. But just to review, when you're doing an acrostic poem, you may want to put your title at the top to help your reader know what it is. You will probably want to put your name, so that way they know you're the poet, so by in your name. But to make it an acrostic poem, what's really important is you put each letter from the word gets its own line vertically. And I'm going to include some writing paper that you could use if it's helpful to you with lined paper. And that line, or the word that you put out from it, starts with that first letter, that letter that you wrote down. I look forward to seeing the acrostic poems you wrote. Maybe you'll choose to share one at poetry night. Have fun writing.